So I think that we have already waited for 3 minutes, so we can start this live session now. So is my screen visible to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So good evening, everyone. Welcome to the live session on design of steel structures. My name is Saurav Kumar Singh, and I am doing PhD from Department of Civil Engineering, IIT Kharagpur. So first of all, I will be discussing the doubts which I have taken from the discussion forum along with basic teaching. So one of the student on discussion forum has asked what is the difference between consecutive bolts and adjacent bolts. So I would like to ask you that two of you have joined this live session right now. So are you one of them?
No, sir.
Okay. So let me clear this doubt. Actually, see, both are same thing. So the person who have asked this doubt, so he has mentioned that actually in live session, sir is using one term is called consecutive bolts and another is adjacent bolts. So both the terms are same. When we follow the IS 800 2007 code book, so there they have written adjacent fasteners in there it is not, you will not get consecutive bolts there, so they have used adjacent fasteners. So actually I thought that this doubt might have arisen because there were two provisions, means one was should not greater than 16t, or another one was should not greater than 32t. So sir was using for one for tension and compression members, and this 32t that is for another something. So I want to clear here, there are two types of bolt according based on the load transfer mechanism. So one bolts are called structural bolts. Here you can see that these bolts are structural bolts. So let us consider that there are two Indian standard plates which are placed back to back on both side of the gusset plate. So here you can see that these four bolts which are attached to which is connecting these plates to the gusset plate. This is the gusset plate and this is our main plate. So these are called as structural bolts. So purpose of these structural bolts is to transfer the load. So these bolts basically is used to transfer the loads, whatever load is coming on this plate, that load will be transferred to this gusset plate through these structural bolts. So I think this is clear that is purpose of structural bolts is to transfer the loads. So whatever provisions sir has told for tension and compression, that is should not greater than 16t or should not greater than 12t, uh, so these things are related to structural bolts. But there was one another provision, that is should not be greater than 32t. So this is basically used for the case of tack bolts. So these are the tack bolts. So what are tack bolts? So purpose of these tack bolts is to make these two ISPL, means Indian standard plates, act as a single unit. So purpose of these bolts is to hold them together. So these bolts are not used for structural purpose. So basically work of these bolts is to make them act as a single unit. So I have written also here that tack bolts make two structural components acts as a single unit. So because these are not structural bolts, so here you can see that there are we can keep pitch of these bolts little bit more greater, that is for the case of tension we are adopting should not greater than 16t, and for the case of compression we were adopting should not greater than 12t. But here you can see that it is should not greater than 32t, which is something double than the provisions which is used for the pitch, it is double. So any one of you can share that why this is greater for the case of tack bolts, why in case of structural bolts we are not taking more, and for the tack bolting we are limiting it to 32T. And furthermore, I also want to know that why this restriction has been put. If they don't have to take any structural load, then why this provision has to be taken into account? So any one of you.
Sir, in my opinion, actually, when there is a compressive load, if we keep the pitch more, there could be a chance of possible moisture content between bolts and you could say plates.
Why you are saying that when in case of compression, if we will keep pitch as more, then moisture will come? I don't understand this. Please make it clear.
No, sir. Like if during compressive load is applied to structural bolt itself, if the pitch is more, then there would be some kind of deflection, you could say,
Okay, okay.
between the bolts and plates, and
Yes,
there is
yes.
a possibility of moisture getting between those plates, sir. I have
Eh,
read somewhere. That's why I told you, sir.
and why there is limitation for the case of tension? Because I guess in tension, the it will not buckle between the bolts, na? So why
Right, right.
for the tension we have kept one limitation for the pitch? Can you explain?
For tension, I don't know, sir. For compression only, I know.
Any one of you can explain about the tension? I think Mr. Anandrup has explained about the pitch in his last live session. So, any one of you want to share? Okay, so from the last live session which Mr. Anandrup has taken, so there you have you might have seen that if for the case of tension, if you will keep pitch, if you not limit the pitch, means if your pitch will be more closer, then what will happen? Then that both bolts which are actually, let me draw the diagram. So here you can see that if two bolts are very close to each other, then in the initial case we know that all bolts don't share loads equally. So it might be possible that this bolt will be more stressed and this is less than compared to this bolt. So when it will happen, then after that, when bearing will increase and plate will deform, then these two holes comes together, okay, and it will make a big hole. So that's why we put this limitations. Now in the case of tack bolts, so here you can see that purpose of the tack bolt is to make structural components acts as a single unit. So here you can see that this is greater than 32T, means it should not be greater than 32T. We are allowing some more pitch because it is not these bolts are not designed to carry the structural loads, so it can be kept further. Now one of the student on discussion forum has asked that what is the term K, means the coefficient K which we are using in the calculation of effective throat thickness. So is this student present here in this live session? If you are present, then you can interact with me. So see, I want to explain it with a diagram. uh, Let us suppose this is one plate and this is another plate, and here we want to do fillet welding. So this is the fillet weld which we have provided here. So here you can see that this fillet weld has been made here in this diagram. So now you can see that for this case, angle between these two fusion faces, this is one face and this is another face. So fusion between these two faces are 90 degree. So when we are talking about throat thickness, so during the calculation of throat thickness, which is this distance, let me name these things: A, B, C, and this is D. So basically this BD is our throat thickness about which we have concern. So we are reporting that this BD is equal to K into S, where K is a constant which depends on the angle between fusion faces, and S is equal to size of the weld. So here on this face you can see that this is S and here it is S. So these are the size of the weld and this is the throat thickness. So here you can see that from the Pythagoras theorem, when you are going to apply this Pythagoras theorem, you can calculate the distance between AC, because you know the distance AB and distance BC both are S. So using Pythagoras theorem you can calculate the distance AC. After that, when you are seeing that this throat thickness, so when we are considering this throat thickness, so here we are making another right angle. So when we are going to consider this small triangle which is BDC, so in this small triangle BDC, BC is what? This is our hypotenuse, okay? And when we are going to make this line throat thickness TT, so this angle is 45 degree and this angle is 45 degree. So from both the way you can calculate this throat thickness from applying Pythagoras theorem to this small triangle BDC. For this BDC you can apply this Pythagoras theorem, or from the knowledge of vectors you have you already know that this is length S, this is length S, and this is angle theta which is equal to 45 degree. So its component about this line, this TT line, what will be its component? Its component will be S cos 45 degree, and perpendicular to this it will be S sine 45 degree. So we are considering this S cos 45 degree. So here we are getting what? S upon root 2, which is equal to 0.707 S. So that's why you can see that for the case of angle between fusion faces, value of K for the 60 degree to I think 90 degree, it has been taken as reported as 0.7. So now I think it has been clear that from where this constant K we are getting. So you can check it for calculating for the angle of 120 degree. Instead of this 90 degree you can also calculate for 120 degree. So for 120 degree you can calculate, and in code book you can see that gradually from 90 degree to 120 degree it has been reducing. So any one of you please calculate it for 120 degree and report it. Please keep notebook and pen with you. Take 2 minutes time and please report the answer. Now our this angle is 60 degree.
0.5, sir.
Yes.
0.5.
Okay, thank you. So likewise, we can calculate S cos 60 degree is equal to 0.5 S. So K is nothing but it is the coefficient which is used to calculate the throat thickness and which depends upon the angle between the fusion faces. Now coming to the next doubt. This doubt has been asked regarding to minimum size of the weld. So let me open it. Just wait for a minute.
Methodology how we have done and examples. I hope.
Okay, so this is related to lecture number 12. So is my screen visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So is this the question? Can you tell me? I think this is the question. Actually, the question was means here in the question you can see that an ISMC 300 at the rate 363 Newton per mm is used to transmit factored force of 800 kilonewton. So here we are using an Indian standard channel section. So here it is written that the channel section is connected to a 12 thick gusset plate. So I think that from here this doubt might arise that here we are connecting it to a 12 thick gusset plate. Then why we are using this minimum size of the weld? We are taking it as 3 Although in the table 21 it has been written that for thickness of the thinner plate if greater than 10 it should be 5 So this is the basically doubt. So I want to make it clear from this diagram. You can see that this is our gusset plate. This is our gusset plate and this is the ISMC 300 which we are using. So here you can see that thickness of this gusset plate is 12 but when you are considering the thickness of this ISMC 300, so here you can see that this is the web portion of this ISMC and these are the flanges of ISMC. Okay, this is the flange and this is the flange and this is the web portion. So here in question it has been reported that in solution here you can see that thickness of flange is 13.6 and the thickness of web is 7.8 and we are doing welding in web, so we will be considering thickness of web here. So this is 7.8 which is less than 10 so that's why we are taking minimum size of the weld as 3 which is given in table 21 of IS 800 2007. So I think uh, here thickness of gusset plate is 12 and thickness of web of this channel section is 7.8 so that's why we are taking thinner plate which is 7.8 and reporting minimum size of the weld as 3 so I think this doubt is clear. So we can proceed further. So one of the student on discussion forum has asked to explain this numerical example once again, and further he has raised one more doubt related to the calculation of polar moment of inertia of this part. So let us read this question first. A pipe of 100 diameter and 8 thick. So let us suppose this is a pipe. Actually this figure I have drawn in this PPT, so it was difficult for me to make it hollow in a quick time, so that's why cope up with this. So a pipe of 100 diameter, so diameter of this pipe is 100 this is 100 and it is 8 thick, thickness is 8 is connected to a 16 thick plate. Thickness of this plate is reported as 16 It is subjected to a vertical factored load of 10 kilonewton. So let us suppose there is a factored load of 10 kilonewton. After that, it is acting at a distance of 0.5 meter from the welded end. So this red portion, this red circle which I have made is the welded part. Actually fillet welding has been done. This pipe is joined to this plate through this welding throughout its circumference. So this red one is the welding. Actually half part of the welding you will not be able to see, but for my convenience I have drawn this throughout so that I will be able to make you understand easily. So here distance between these two is 0.5 meter. Now here you can see that it is also subjected to a factor twisting moment of 3 kilonewton meter. So we are going to apply a twisting moment which will act about this longitudinal axis, and its value is 3 kilonewton meter. Now find the size of the weld assuming shop welding and steel of grade to be Fe 410. So there is a twisting and there is a direct load acting on this, and due to this direct load bending will occur in this pipe. So let us proceed further. Here Fu is 410 megapascal and gamma mw is 1.25. So permissible shear stress is equal to Fu upon root 3 gamma mw, which is reported as 189.37. So can any one of you can tell me that from where this factor means this root 3 is coming? This gamma mw I can understand, this is making it as permissible shear stress. So for making it as permissible, this gamma mw is coming into picture. So from where this root 3 is coming? So any one of you please explain. Please interact. If you know then good, if you don't know then you can say that I don't know, so that I can proceed further.
Sorry, sir, don't know about
Okay,
it.
okay. Because this doubt has not been asked, so that's why I thought that. So see, this is shear stress. So from the this is coming Fu upon root 3 is coming from the strength of material. So when you will study theory of failures in strength of material. So from there you can see that from von Mises failure criteria, shear stress at which material can fail is reported as Fu upon root 3. So from that failure criteria, this Fu upon root 3 is coming into picture. Okay, so now here you can see that P is the direct load which is acting on the pipe, 10 kilonewton. So moment due to this load is P into E. Distance is reported as 0.5 meter. So 10 into 0.5 is 5 kilonewton meter, and one torque T is acting there which is 3 kilonewton meter. So polar moment of inertia IP is equal to 2 pi r cube into T, which is equal to 785398 T. So here was the doubt that the student was asking. So how this is coming? So basically he was calculating it for the whole pipe. So no, actually see, weld has to take all these loads, means from the weld these loads will be transferred in this plate. So you have to keep in mind that we are calculating polar moment of inertia of the welded part, not of the entire cross section. This entire cross section, we are not talking about this entire cross section, we are talking about this welded part. So first of all, we are calculating polar moment of inertia, which is reported as this much. And after that, we are calculating IZZ, means IP is equal to IZZ plus IYY. Polar moment of inertia, IP is equal to IZZ plus IYY. And here you can see that this weld is also of having equal dimension along this ZZ axis and this YY axis. So both are equal. So in this case, we can write it as I 2 times IZZ. So IZZ is equal to I 2 times IP. Oh, sorry, I have committed mistake. IZZ is equal to IP by 2. So here we can get this. So now why we are taking why we are calculating polar moment of inertia like this, 2 pi r cube into T? Can anyone tell me, or should I explain this? Hello.
Please explain, sir.
Okay, I have prepared for one more slide for this. See, actually when we were study about welded connection, so there one assumptions we have in our mind that weld is taken as the line area. This weld we are talking about, this weld we treat it as a line area. So circumference of this weld is 2 pi r. So when we you are going to cut it from here or from anywhere, if you are going to cut it and you will make it you will elongate it, then it will look like this. Okay, so here you can see that what is this, this is the entire circumference which is equal to 2 pi r. R is the radius. So 2 pi r is the total length and a small t is the thickness. So what we know, polar moment of inertia is equal to ar square. Means polar moment of inertia, what is the definition of polar moment of inertia? It is the second moment of the area, that is ar square. So what is area of this line? So area is 2 pi r into t into r square. So this is equal to 2 pi r cube into t. So I think now it is clear. So that is what sir has written here in the slide, 2 pi r cube into t. So from here we are calculating. So now you can see that we are not taking this entire cross sectional area, we are only considering this part, the welded part. So here we are writing, we are calculating IP of weld and not of circular pipe. And from the assumption weld is treated as line area, and this is clear. and this A is the cross sectional area of the body. Body means not this body, means whatever body for which you are calculating polar moment of inertia, that body. So this is the line for which we are calculating polar moment of inertia. So A is of this line. Now first we have to calculate shear stress due to direct load. So this is equal to Q1 is equal to direct load is P and upon में 2 pi RT. Stress is equal to load upon area. So we have calculated area as 2 pi RT. So load upon area. So this is reported as 31.83 upon में T. Further, we have to calculate shear stress due to twisting moment. Okay, how shear stress will come due to twisting moment? We are applying here torque. And how shear stress is generating when you are going to consider this cross section. So when we are going to apply torque, then above this shear stress will act in this direction, and below this it will act in this direction. So this is indirect shear stress which is generating by applying this torque. So we have to calculate okay, shear stress due to twisting moment Q2 is equal to T upon IP. From where we are getting this, and where we are getting this, normal stress due to bending is equal to stress is equal to M upon IZZ into R. So this we are getting from bending equation, and this we are getting from torsion equation, which we have read in strength of material. So here we are putting all these values and it is coming 191 upon T, and here we are putting all these value getting 636.62. So resultant shear stress is equal to first of all we are calculating shear stress. Resultant shear stress is equal to Q equal to Q1 square plus Q2 square, and shear stress is because of this twisting moment and because of this direct load which we have calculated 31.83. So we are putting all these values and we are reporting it as 193.6 upon T. So is this clear to everyone? Resultant shear stress. Why we are not taking this bending in calculation of this resultant shear stress? Please tell me why we are not considering this bending stress in case of this shear stress. We are calling bending stress as normal stress in this case, and we are taking this twisting moment and direct stresses due to this twisting moment and due to direct load as shear stress. So why is it so? Actually, when you will see this diagram, we were talking about this cross section, means this is the circular cross section and this is the twisting moment which was acting. So we have made this diagram here for this twisting. This will lie in this plane, and when we are talking about this bending, means tendency of this body is to bend like this. So what will happen? Upper part of this will get elongated and lower part of this will get compressed. So when you are going to draw its diagram, then you will find that above neutral axis you will get tension, and below neutral axis you will get compression. So likewise stress distribution will take place. Okay, so this tension is coming along which axis? Along this axis, longitudinal axis. So that is why we are taking it as normal stress, means it is perpendicular to this plane, this cross sectional area of this circular pipe. So this is perpendicular to this, so that's why we are reporting it as normal stress, and other two stresses are reported as shear stress because they will come on this plane and not perpendicular to this plane. So finally, equivalent stress due to normal and shear. Here combined effect is coming into picture. So we are using equivalent stress due to normal and shear stress is equal to Fa square plus 3Q square, and putting all these values we are getting it as 861.75 upon T, and it should be less than or equal to Fe, means for stress which we are getting for our welded portion, which we have already calculated as from Fu upon root 3 upon gamma mw, which is 189.37. So equating both these terms, we are getting T is equal to 4.55 mm. So S is equal to, actually we are using we are taking fusion between both the faces as 90 degree. So for the value of this, value of K has been taken as 0.707. T is equal to Ks we know, and value of K is 0.707. So value of S is equal to 6.4. So on round off we are taking it as 7 mm. So the size of the weld will be 7 mm. So I think this question is clear. Any doubt from this question? Okay. So let us move further. Actually, I went through the live session of Mr. Anand Roop, and I saw that due to some time limitations, remaining questions of means some of the questions from the assignment of previous year week 2 has left. So I will be discussing all those questions first, and after that we will, if time will permit, then we will move in week 3 assignment questions. So the you have already went through the week 2 live session and week 2 lectures. So here you can see that question 8, the strength of a bolt is obtained as 65 megapascal if correction factors for long joint, grip length and packing plates are 0.9, 1.0 and 0.8 respectively. So corrected strength of the bolt is, okay. So we have to calculate, we have to take into account all these correction factors, and we have to report corrected strength of the bolt now. So earlier strength of the bolt was 65 megapascal when there was no correction factor was involved, means we are not taking the factor of long joint, grip length or packing plates. So this was coming before. So what will be the corrected strength of the bolt now? Please calculate.
Sir, option D.
46.8.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so how you are getting all these things?
Multiplying all these things, sir.
Okay,
All the
okay,
correction factors and the load
okay, very good.
strength.
So here is the solution. So according to the clause 10.3.3 IS 800/2007, we have seen there a formula. According to that, corrected strength of the bolt is multiplication of all these factors. So 65 into 0.9 into 1 into 0.8, which is 46.8 kilonewton. Further, two plates of thickness 20 mm and 22 mm are joined by fillet weld of size 6 mm. If angle between fusion face is 95 degree, so here angle between fusion face we are taking as 95 degree, and you have to report throat thickness. So we have already studied that throat thickness is equal to K into S, K into size of the weld. So value of K, we know that it will depend on what? It will depend on the angle between the fusion faces. So you have to go through the IS code book and you have to check what is the value of K for the 95-degree case and multiply it by S, weld size. So please report its answer. I think 0.7 is for the case of 90 degree. So
Sir,
95 degree.
3.9 is the answer.
Okay.
K is 0.65.
Yes, yes. K is 0.65. So here size of the weld S is equal to 6 mm and angle between fusion faces is 95 degree, and for this value of K is 0.65 from table 22. So effective throat thickness is equal to Ks is equal to 3.9 mm. So uh, option A is correct.
B option था.
Pardon?
Sir, it was B option 3.9.
B. Okay, okay, 3.9. Yes, sorry. B is 3.9, so 3.9 is correct. Now, question number 10. 20 nominal diameter bolt is used for lap joint of two plates of sizes 16 and 18 So here, what is there? So two plates are there. Let's say it is of thickness 16 and it is of thickness 18 So the edge distance, pitch distance, and the ratio of ultimate strength of bolt to plate material are 35 50 and 0.98 respectively. So edge distance E is reported as 35 pitch P is equal to 50 and ratio of ultimate strength of bolt material means FUB upon plate material. Fu is equal to 0.98. What would be coefficient of bearing Kb? So it is asking about coefficient of bearing Kb. And okay, so please calculate value of Kb. Diameter of bolt is given D equal to 20
Zero point 0.5.
Pardon?
0.5 kb value.
zero point 0.5
Sir, take it answer A.
A 0.51.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes, 0.51 is the correct solution. So here we can see that Kb is the minimum of E upon 3 D naught, which is equal to, I think, 0.51, P upon 3 D naught minus 0.25, FUB upon FU and 1. So value of E upon 3 D naught is coming 0.53, P upon 3 D naught minus 0.25 is coming 0.51, and FUB upon FU is reported in question as 0.98 and 1. So minimum is 0.51, so it has been reported as answer. Now calculate the design shear strength of ordinary bolt of nominal diameter 20 Okay, so design shear strength you have to calculate, and bolt is ordinary bolt. Means if see in exam, if it is not given that what is the grade of bolt, then if you have to take it as ordinary bolt and you have to assume it as grade 4.6 if nothing is given. So 20 is the diameter of bolt, D equal to 20 and it has been reported that under double shearing condition bolt is experiencing double shearing. Means let us suppose this is the bolt, so it has tendency to cut down from two planes, so it is in double shearing condition. One shearing plane intercepts at shank portion, so let us assume that this shear plane lies in threaded portion and this shear plane is not lying in threaded portion. The sizes of two connecting plate are 12 and 14 Okay, so please report design shear strength. VDSB. Please calculate. Take 1 minute time and calculate. This is the shear strength. So what it will be in general concept, it will be stress into area, and this is for bolt, so we have to consider area of
Option
bolt. Yes.
sir, option D, 103 to 103.5.
What exact value you are getting? Are you getting 103 or 103 point something?
103.31.
Okay, thank you. So see, shear area of bolt at shank where thread is not present. What is shank? Where thread is not present. So it is equal to pi by 4 d square. It is 314.16 mm square. After that, shear area of bolt at threaded portion means one of the plane is lying at threaded portion and one is lying at shank. So we have to calculate both the area. See, if in question it is not, if nothing is mentioned that where bolt is lying in threaded portion or not, then from our side we will choose safer side and we will take it as that the bolt is lying and in the threaded portion means shear plane is passing through the threaded portion. So for that we have to multiply it with the factor 0.78 and it is equal to 245.04. So design shear strength of bolt is FUB upon root 3. So what is this? This is the stress. This is the shear stress which bolt will experience from von Mises criteria, and divided upon gamma MB, this will make it as permissible. Okay, so NN is equal to 1 and NS is equal to 1. A and B is equal to 245. We will put all these values and we will get it as 103.3 kilonewton. Further, consider the problem given in question 11. So we are talking about this above question about which we have solved it right now. So if coefficient of bearing strength calculation KB is 0.51, so value of KB is reported here. What is value of KB? Value of KB is 0.51. So find the bearing strength of the bolt. So you have to calculate bearing strength of the bolt. So please calculate and report. VDPB 2.5 KB dt Fu KB value has is given here 0.51. Value of D from the earlier question we know 20 mm, and two plates connecting plates are 12 mm and 14 mm. So thinner plate is 12 mm and thicker plate is 14 mm. So what is the value of T? Whether we will take it as thinner plate or thicker plate?
Thinner plate.
Pardon?
Thinner plate.
I am
Thinner
not
plate.
able to hear your voice. Please.
Thinner plate. Thinner plate.
Thinner. Okay. So what we will take? We will take it as 12 mm. So put all these values and report answer. 20, 12.
D option sir, 100.3.
100.3. Okay. Yes, correct. So uh, Shantanu, can you tell me for the case of bearing, why actually see we are talking about bolts, okay, means we are calculating this bearing for bolts, but we are reporting value of fu instead of value fub. Why is the case? Why we are using why we are taking it for plate and why not of bolt? Yes, bearing occurs from bolts to plate, but on the same hand, means bolt will also experience bearing, na? Means bolt will also distort from its suppose circular cross section to it goes to elliptical. So bolt can also means distort. So bolt is also experiencing bearing. So why we are not considering bearing of bolts and we are putting value of plates? See. Uh, Let us suppose this is a plate and this is the bolt hole. When you will insert bolt in it and when it will bear, then this bolt will distort. Means let us suppose earlier it was circular and now it will become elliptical, something like this. It has been distorted, its cross sectional area has been distorted. This bolt will become like this, okay, along with plate. But the main thing is this: whatever will be the shape of this bolt, it will remain inside the plate. From bearing, this bolt will never fail, means nothing will happen to this bolt. Actually what will happen, it will give bearing pressure to this plate and this plate will start deforming like this. So ultimately plate has to fail. So that's why we are keeping we are considering value of this plate. Understood? Means whatever will be the shape of the bolt, it will remain inside this hole, it will not come out from this hole. But when we are considering about the shear failure, in shear failure what will happen, bolt will cut down in two pieces. So that's why we are taking value of fub. But in case of bearing, it will remain inside this hole, it will not going anywhere from this hole. So ultimately plate has to fail. So that's why we are considering this value 410 instead of value 400. Now two plates of thickness 16 mm and 18 mm are connected using HSFZ 8.8 grade bolts of 20 mm diameter. Find the proof load. So please calculate proof load. Proof load will be stress into area. And we are considering HSFG bolts. So this stress will be proof stress. In our live session, means last live session, we have seen that how to calculate proof stress. We are taking it as 0.7 times ultimate stress. Let's see. We are using 8.8 grade bolts, and for 8.8 grade bolts FUB is equal to 800 megapascal. So 0.7 into 800, 560. See, net area of bolt is equal to AN is equal to, we are taking 0.78 pi by 4 d square, and it is equal to 245.04. So multiplying this we are getting 137.2 kilonewton. So option B is correct. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, so on Sunday, Mr. Anandrup will take live session, and in that live session, he will be discussing assignments from week three, previous year assignments from week three. Okay, so if anything will remain, or any doubts, so if you will put on discussion forum, then I will entertain all those doubts in my next live session. Okay, and sorry for today, as I am at my home, so there are lots of noise from outside environment, so sorry for this. Okay, so we can wrap up this session here. So you can, if you have anything to share, then you can share, or you can leave this session. So